Naishtigim.
Thank you again for joining in, everyone. So we'll read the verse and you can repeat after me. Mama yonir mahad brahma.
Mama yonir mahad brahma.
Tasmin garbham dadamyaham.
Tasmin garbham dadamyaham.
Sambhava sarva bhutanam.
Sambhava sarva bhutanam.
Tato bhavati bharata.
Tado bhavati bharata.
Mama yonir mahad brahma.
Mama yonir mahad brahma.
Tasmin garbham dadamyaham.
Tasmin
garbham dadamyaham.
Sambhava sarva bhutanam.
Sambhava sarva bhutanam.
Tato bhavati bharata.
Tado bhavati bharata.
Yeah, please go ahead, Prabhu. Someone can read and we can repeat after you.
Mama yonir. Go ahead, Mama.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
No,
Go
please.
ahead, Prabhu.
No.
Mama yonir mahad brahma.
Mama yonir mahad
brahma.
Tasmin garbham dadami aham.
Tasmin garbham dadamyaham.
Sambhava sarva bhutanam.
Sarvambhava sarva bhutanam.
Tato bhavati bharata.
Tado bhavati bharata.
Anyone else?
Mama yonir mahad brahma.
Mama yonir mahad brahma.
Tasmin garbham dadamyaham.
Tasmin garbham dadamyaham.
Sambhava sarva bhutanam.
Sambhava sarva bhutanam.
Tado bhavati bharata.
Tato bhavati bharata.
Anyone else wants to have a try? Jignesh Prabhu? Anyone? Amritananda Prabhu?
Sorry, Prabhu, I'm on DT service.
Okay, Prabhu. All right. Then if nobody wants to try, I'll just read the word-for-word translation. Word-for-word translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Mama? You can repeat.
Mama.
My. Yoni. Source of birth. Mahat. The total material existence. Yeah. Can you see my screen? Shared it, right? Hare Krishna, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can see the screen.
Okay. Okay, Brahma. Supreme. Tasmin. In that. Garbham. Pregnancy. Dadami. Create. Aham. I. Sambhava. The possibility. Sarva Bhutana. Of all living entities. Tataha. Thereafter. Bhavati. Becomes. Bharata. O son of Bharat. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The total material substance called Brahman. Is the source of birth. And it is that Brahman. That I impregnate. making possible the births
making possible the births
of all living beings.
of all living beings.
O son of Bharata.
O son of Bharata.
Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place.
Can you move to the next screen?
Oh yeah, sorry, Prabhu. This is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the body and the spirit soul. The combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God Himself. The Mahatattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation, and that total substance of the material cause, in which there are three modes of nature, is called Brahman. The Supreme Personality impregnates that total substance, and thus innumerable universes become possible. The total material substance, the Mahatattva, is described as Brahman in the Vedic literature, Mundaka Upanishad 119, Tasmat Eta Brahma Nama Rupam Annam Cha Jayate. The Supreme Person impregnates that Brahman with the seeds of the living entities. The 24 elements, beginning from earth, water, fire, and air, are all material energy, and they constitute what is called Mahat Brahma, or the great Brahman, the material nature. As explained in the 7th chapter, beyond this, there's another superior nature, the living entity. Into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thereafter, all the living entities are born in this material nature. The scorpion lays its egg in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice, but the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, Mother Nature is not the cause of the birth of living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as products of material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activities, has a different body created by material nature, so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all manifestations of living entity in this material world. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagarajatam Saganatputam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Shri Saganata Shri Vishakhavitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakal Patarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Once again, thank you everybody for joining. And this is chapter 40, titled Three Modes of Material Nature. And this verse is number 3. In the previous 2 verses, what Sri Krishna tells Arjuna is that this is the supreme wisdom. So this chapter is Krishna is giving Arjuna the supreme wisdom. By being fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature of like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. So what happens if you understand this chapter? We're not going to be disturbed by the fact, at the thought of being created, or being at the end of dissolution or pralaya or whatever, when everything goes back into the pores of the Supreme Law. Now, in the purport, the first thing Srila Prabhupada says is like he says the body, like everything takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetratna, the body and the spirit soul. So what is Kshetra? Kshetra means the field, and Kshetratna means the knower of the field. So what is Kshetra? It's the body is considered like the field, and one who knows everything about that field is the Kshetratna, or the owner of the body, or the spirit soul. I mean, and one thing we have to understand, we don't know it if you're under illusion. So to know it, actually, we have to come out of the illusion. And that knowledge is given here in this. We have to come out of illusion. The combination of material nature and living entity, and the living entity is made by the Supreme God Himself. So we can see that our body is very gross. It is, it is what is describing is it's made out of the 5 gross elements actually, and how these things, this gross creation, this gross elements which are created by God, and then we also have other subtle elements created by God, and then we have the soul, which is actually a part and parcel of the Lord Himself. So all this combination, all this combined together, and they form like we exist in our present way because of that, because of the combination of all these things. I'll repeat it again. The soul, which is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and then we have the gross elements, there are subtle elements, and everything together. And that what Srila Prabhupada is saying is the Maha Tattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation, and the total substance of the material cause, in which there are 3 modes of nature, is sometimes called Brahman. So the Maha Tattva, which is the cause of everything, is also, we understand it as Brahman. I mean, we have to understand it in a different way. Like a lot of people, they want to, we have learned in the past, like there are 3, God manifests Himself in 3 ways. One is Bhagavan, and Paramatma, and there's the Brahman. So this Brahman is slightly different from this Brahman. The Mahatattva Brahman is slightly different from the way, that's spiritual, that's part of Krishna, like Krishna Himself. This is, again, it's a mixture of His material energy as well as His, His material energy, and the Tatash is, what is that, the word for it is Tatasha Shakti. The English word for it is marginal potency or marginal energy. So we have the superior energy, which is Krishna Himself, and we have the marginal energy, which we are all manifestations of, like our souls, and then we have the inferior energy, which is the material nature. So this is the combination of Mahatattva. It's like a combination of everything. So actually, we can actually, I've created like a table of all the different elements. We can just go by it. So you can see here the 5 gross, there are 24 elements, of which there are 5 gross elements, and they're also called the Panchabhutas or the Mahabhutas. And we have the earth, water, fire, air, and ether, or the empty space. Like the earth, which is the grossest of everything, is the least subtle, and we can actually see, feel, touch, and smell, and we can see it very, very clearly. Then the next one is water, which is the second least subtle, because again we can touch, feel, see, but what we can't really smell it. I mean, sometimes water has smell. That's not because of water. If pure water has no smell, it's because something is dissolved in it. Or wire is the third least subtle, because we can feel, we can see and feel, but can't touch or smell. Air is the fourth. Hare Krishna. Haribol? Okay. Air is the fourth least subtle because we can't see, smell, but we can only feel. Ether, which is like empty space, is the most subtle among the grossest elements. And we can neither see, nor touch, nor feel, or smell. Like actually in some traditions, they don't even consider ether as like an element. They just consider the four elements. And like in the Buddhist traditions and all, that's what I heard. I'm not 100% sure. So, but anyway, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we understand there are 5 gross elements. And next we come to, we have like, then other of the 24 elements, the other 5 are the knowledge acquiring senses, the Gyanendriyas. These elements acquire knowledge from outside. That's how we feel and experience the world, you know, like how living entities actually they have the experience of being the human being, or like they live it out or something. That's what they say, or any living entity. And in different living entities, like as mentioned, everybody gets a different body, and in different living entities, some of a few of these things are like more prominent than the others. Like so what are these? They're the eyes by which we can see objects, nose by which we can smell, you know, we can smell things, ears which hear the sound, mouth feels the taste and speaks the knowledge, skin feels the touch. Like okay, let's go back. Like for example, some living, and I'm trying to think of an example, like eyes I can't remember, but like let's say the nose, which is like Srila Prabhupada described, like the nose, the smell is very prominent in the musk deer. So what happens is like I think it's a musk deer, right? Like it goes searching for the musk, in which is at its own body. It keeps going around, and I should have prepared this. Like, so anyway, all this, if we, and in humans, like all the the senses are like, you know, more or less balanced. So these senses are used for you know, for knowledge. We understand the world around us, and it's also used for like sense gratification. So if these senses are not used in a proper way, it just leads to our own downfall. A very good example is like of the elephant. Elephant has a very good sense of touch or skin. So what happens? It's like, you know, how is it captured? A female elephant is led, and a wild male elephant is attracted to the female elephant because he wants to touch the skin of the female elephant and like he likes the feel of touch. So he is attracted. Then what happens? It comes and falls into a pit by which, you know, it is captured. So that's because it's like trying to gratify its senses. It just leads to its own downfall. Similarly, like the mouth, like the fish are like they love the taste. Like, you know, the most prominent is their taste for the fish. So sometimes, like what people do to catch them, they put a hook into the water with some little insect or a little worm. The fish sees this worm, comes and is caught in the hook, and you know, that's the so the idea here is, if we like just go blindly, you know, like behind the senses, then it just leads to our downfall. Actually, we have covered this in the earlier chapters where they say you must use your knowledge and intelligence, you know, so the senses can be like the senses must be controlled by the knowledge and intelligence. There is a picture of this 5 horses, and you know, which are the senses, and the mind, which is the reins, and like the person riding the chariot. Like we've gone across, we've gone, and we can actually, if anybody wants to, we can discuss this later. And then, so these are the 5 knowledge gathering senses. Then after that, we have the 5 subtle elements, which actually are what is actually felt by the knowledge Aquarian senses, which are sight, smell, taste, and touch perception. So totally, we have actually gone up to 15. Then we have the 5 working senses, which are like the hands. We use it for doing things. Then we have the legs, which take us places. Mouth, which is used for eating. Rectum, which is used for evacuating, and genitals, which are used for, like, again, procreation. So again, these have to be used in a proper, regulated way. Otherwise, it can lead to our own downfall. And then we have, totally we have had like 20. And now we have 4 subtle elements which cannot be seen. They can only be felt. And of which, like, we have the mind, which is like, mind, what we think. Intelligence, or the buddhi, or which actually makes us discriminate between what is good and what is bad for us. I mean, you can have a mind without intelligence is like very dangerous. If intelligence not used properly. And then we have like the false ego, the feeling of I and pride. This false ego is like I. The feeling that gives us I, or like, my body, my thing, that's a false ego. So that's like the subtle element. And then we have like, okay, one is missing, I don't know. So, and then finally we have like the 25th element is the time. I guess the feeling of I and pride, I think that's the 24th, the pride. And then we have like the mixing element, which is time. To mix and connect the material bodies containing this 24 material elements with soul Atma, a connecting element is required. Oh, actually the 25th element is the 24th element is the soul Atma, which is like, so and the 25th element is the time, which is again, time acts as a mixing element. As per the Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna himself acts as time. I mean, even in the Bhagavad Gita, like Krishna says his time, Similarly, other elements are connected to Saguna Brahman, having time as a mixing, connecting element. Next, this body plus soul combination should be allowed to function by the 3 gunas, modes of nature, into them that makes the entire creation called Prakriti perfect. And then you have like the Mahatattva or Prakriti. Prakriti is here also described, which is the Mahatattva, which Srila Prabhupada was describing in his purport. So we have the Mahatattva. We know what the Mahatattva is created of. All these 24 elements we have the Mahatattva. Then we have the 3 modes of material nature, Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna, which actually influences all of the above 24 elements and makes Prakriti or Mahatattva that acts as the breeding source of all types of material body and material objects. So how do we, all these material bodies and material objects, they are like, they have, they're all placed into a kind of, they're all in a mode. They all exist in a mode. Like they exist. Actually, all the 3 modes are present in everything. But like the modes would be like certain mode would be of the 3. Certain would be predominant in like in some people. Like in some people, Rajogun would be prominent. In others, Sattvagun would be prominent. And tamogun will be prominent in others. So actually, people in which sattva-guna is prominent, they start thinking, like they doing good is, is doing good is doing good is what is actually needed. Others, like who are in the mode of who are in for whom the rajogun is prominent, they want to construct things, they want to make things and everything. All the material progress in the world is because of people who are in rajoguna. And then the tamogun people, they're just plain lazy. They just don't want to do anything. They just want to do nothing, and like they're always in a state of stupor or just enjoying the just gratifying their senses without any sense of responsibility or anything. So we see that Mahatattva is the medium between like Krishna and material. So it is like a like from a junction or like a meeting point from the false ego of the. It's there where actually the false ego of the living entity is also generated. So all living entities are differentiated parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead. Under the pressure of false ego, the conditioned souls, also parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, claim to be enjoyers of the material nature. This false ego is a binding force of material existence. The Lord again and again gives us a chance to the bewildered, conditioned soul to get free from false ego. And that is why the material creation takes place at intervals. So what is happening is like, among many religions, it's considered like, there is God. He just, at one day, he was sitting alone in the universe. He got very bored. Then he created, angels, and he created, and then he created the earth. And then he created like all the living entities. And then just because he was sitting, getting bored, and he just, and then based on what, how your life is, you either go into everlasting heaven, where you can enjoy all kinds of senses and pleasures and everything, or you go into your damn, and you go into hell for eternity, like where you go through all kinds of miseries, and there you are, like, with no hope of coming out. So many people have this kind of concept, or other many of the Eastern religions, like, the purpose is like to go into like nothingness or like cease existing because whatever. But what Krishna is telling us is here that whatever this creation is, whatever is not our place. This was not created because he got bored or anything. In fact, we chose to like actually rebel against him. That's the reason why he had to create this material. Why he had to create this material, manifestation. So, because of our own rebellious nature, we fell down. So we could actually come and stay in a place, and we could be, to whatever degree we wanted to forget him, or whatever degree we wanted to remember him, we could be there, and we could do like, we could just like we could just pretend like God is not there, or we could just pretend like we are controlling it, all that. But actually, none of this is happening. The Lord knows this, so he keeps, he's made this law of karma. So we, according to our deeds and whatever we do, we keep experiencing like different kinds of bodies and different kinds of situations, different kinds of circumstances. So eventually we understand that this law, this is nothing, everything is temporary. Everything is, it's like, everything brings us sorrow. Like the world is like, what is that? Dukhalem and ashashvatam, like place of misery, and everything is temporary. So at some point, we start looking, we try to understand about myself, my nature, and all that. I mean, today in these days, like when we talk of like this, like 5 elements and all that, a lot of people, oh, if you tell them there are 5 elements, they'll think, are you joking? Everybody starts thinking of the periodic table, 104 elements, 100. I don't know how. That also keeps changing. So, and they think, okay, we know all this physics, chemistry, and all. There's nothing more to know. But that's actually stupid. If you're honest with ourselves, that we'll see that actually doesn't bring us anything. So if you're a little intelligent, what we try to do, we try to like find out like what is the reason why am I here? What is the purpose of my life here? And all that is giving us like, I mean, if you don't have the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, it'll be like very frustrating. Like Lord Buddha, what did he comment? He taught us like, the world is a miserable place, so we have to go out of this miserable place and become nothing, like go into nirvana or nothingness, like I was saying before. Like, and again, like other religions, we have this idea of like going into happiness for eternity, and again, that looks like sending somebody to hell for something which is like I can just give you an example. Let's think like somebody has somebody has done something to you, like something bad, like let's say somebody has stolen your money or something. Then you come to know this person has stolen your money. You might be like initially very angry with him, you might be angry with him for a long time, but eventually like everyone, at some point will just let it go. Then you don't even care if it's so God, who is right out there, who is much better than he wouldn't like punish somebody forever for whatever like the grossest sin, at some point God will forgive him. So the idea of like eternal hell or eternal heaven looks like it doesn't look very good. So but because we have this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, we understand like this temporary world is just a place for us. It's an impetus for us, like so that we try to understand what we are and what our relationship with God is. Like we rebelled against him because we didn't want to. We wanted to be controllers ourselves. So God gave us a place where we could try to think, we try to control things or pretend we could control things. But at some point we get this realization because of the Bhagavad Gita. We understand that, there is a way to come out of this. Like we talk of the 3 modes of material nature. The 3 modes of material nature is controlling us in such a way, it's very difficult to come out of it. But if you surrender to the Supreme Lord, if you like understand the message of the Bhagavad Gita, it's very easy to cut off those strings. The 3 modes, it's like they make you play like a puppet. So you can cut off those strings and you can transcend the 3 modes of material nature. Now, Srila Prabhupada says in this, in the other thing, like the scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice, and it is sometimes said the scorpion is born out of rice, but rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, everything in this world has a cause. I mean, we might think our circumstances and the way we are is because of something, something. But if you go back, we try to find one cause that has another cause. Eventually, we go cause after. If we finally go to the final cause, we'll feel like we are actually the cause is Krishna. The cause is like Sarva Karana Karana. So when we understand that cause, like we understand like we come to our constitutional position. We come to our understanding our constitutional position, which is like we are like an eternal servitor of the Lord. And like we said before, we rebelled earlier and we came down. we fell down. So actually our position is, actuarial position is in Goloka or like Vaikuntha planets where we, you know, that's where our constitutional our place is, and our constitutional position is. We have to serve the Lord in those places. This material creation is meant for rebellious souls who are not prepared to accept the subordination, you know. So, and that is also, that's the false ego. That's a false ego we're talking about, like, which comes because the Mahatattva, and it's, you know, it's material. It is manifested in the three modes of material nature, and it's actually it's only a mental speculation. So the mentality we have, the thinking we have, all this are caused because of the three modes of material nature, like as I said before. So what we can do is, you know, finally, like we can come out of all this if you understand the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. Like this knowledge teaches us that we are parts and parcel of the God, and out there, like in Golok, Vrindavan, or the Vaikuntha planets, we have a very safe and a place where where we can have an everlasting, very fulfilling life, where we can love the Supreme Lord, and we can serve Him. Like, actually, real love is actually shown by service. So that's the place where we have to be. I mean, actually, we can create Golok Vrindavan here itself if you can transcend these three modes in this, like in the material world itself. But for that, again, you know, like we have to overcome all these three modes and give up our false ego. And that can happen if we follow Srila Prabhupada, if we, you know, take up devotional service, of which, like, we can do chanting, which is the most easiest. Otherwise, we can just, you know, be in illusion as long as we want, thinking like we are controlling this, we are controlling everything that is around us. But, you know, if you're honest with ourselves, we'll see that we have very little control over anything. Nothing. So, and how to overcome this three modes of material nature, that will be kind of explained in the subsequent verses. So I will kind of stop here, so we can actually have some discussion. I know this Mahatattva, the three modes of material nature, it's very complex, and it's quite difficult to understand the whole thing, you know, how everything is interplays, and the karma, modes of material, it's very complicated. It gets very complicated, and it's like it's not for people with you have to be very philosophical. The thing is, we don't really understand. We don't really need to go deep and rack our brains and everything. Srila Prabhupada has given us, you know, the way to come out of all this, the way to. So we just have to follow Srila Prabhupada, whose teachings are very simple. You know, just chant and then just chant, and we can be happy. So I'll finish here. We can have a discussion. No? Haribol. Hare Krishna. Haribol. Any questions, any comments?
Haribol, Prabhuji.
Krishna?
Thank you for a wonderful class, Prabhuji. One question, right? As you were explaining that, you know,
like somebody stole your money and then you forget about it after some time, and God also forgive, right? So
Yeah.
so which confused me right now. So are we saying that people do wrong things, which is okay because we think that okay, God will forgive us, after some time? Is that
No,
and where
Prabhu, I
then
think
where does the karma come in? So I'm
no,
confused
no.
on that part.
I am like I probably didn't explain it right. If somebody does something wrong, he has to be punished for that. He has to be punished. If like let's say you catch the person who stole your money. All right, you might give him like 5 punches, then you might give him 10 punches, but at some point then you'll feel like stopping, right? It's just a joke. Don't like
No, I got it.
so your anger will overcome. So even God is like who has a much better like who's much better person. We're doing it out of anger. It's not because so God also is not going to punish anybody like eternally. I mean, that's what I meant. Just because, okay, let's say somebody stole something, he deserves punishment for whatever he did to the degree, whatever his crime is. But beyond that, you don't want to punish him like eternally, like let's say, do you have kids, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So let's say your kids do something naughty, you might get very angry with them, right? And then you might give them some punishment, like, okay, no TV for like some time, or go stand in the corner for some time. But you will give him punishment to the degree of that whatever naughtiness is done. But as a kind father, you love him, so you don't want him to be like subject to that punishment for like eternity. Similarly, God is a loving father. He loves us, so he's not going to punish us eternally. That's what the point I was trying to make. Got it, Prabhu?
Got it, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So can I ask one counter question on that, Prabhuji? One follow-up question for that?
Yeah, sure.
So
I'll try my
where
best,
does
Prabhu.
So Prabhuji, where does the karma come? Like, which part is karma making you do the bad things, or is your star, astrology? I'm so very confused on that part. So
I can't hear you, Prabhu. Is karma making us do the bad things you're asking?
correct. So how
Well,
do people get involved in the bad habits, right? Not everyone do that, but some people do that.
It's like my understanding is, Prabhu, from whatever I've read, you do bad things because of your mentality, or you have got a certain kind of mind, right? Somebody
Correct.
is like somebody wants to commit murder. He has a mind, is a tendency, like which actually drives him to commit murder or steal or do anything bad. Similarly, some has, and that's because he's influenced by the 3 modes of material nature to like he's influenced in a greater way by the mode of ignorance and passion than the mode of goodness. All right, that's his mentality, that's his way of thinking. That comes because of your previous karma. All right, and the action you cause by murdering or killing or something is going to bring you like, it's going to create more karma, which is going to place you in a worse situation. So it's like a very vicious cycle, and we need to know how to come out of it. The only way we can come out of it is like this: we have to somehow get out of the 3 modes of material nature. We can't even be in the mode of goodness, because even if in the mode of goodness we're doing good things to everybody, but to enjoy the results of these good things, we have to take birth in different we might be in a very good situation because we do good things, but even that, you never know, like because of you start, it is a never-ending cycle. You got me, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I agree.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hari Bol. Any more questions?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Subal Prabhu. Wonderful class, wonderful discussions. The dear devotees, anything, any other questions, reflections, comments, concerns? You would like to add? Please go ahead if you have any questions, any reflections. Today is a very auspicious day as well. Today is the day of the appearance of Sri Lalita Sakhi, the foremost close associate of Srimati Radharani. Radhashtami is coming on Saturday, September 3rd. We would request all of you, please take some services Saturday to please Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is none other than the service personified. And the Mahabhav, that nobody can even come closer to the service that which perform the lotus feet of Krishna is amazing. It says Srimati Radharani is the foremost of all the gopis of the service to Krishna, the loving service to Krishna. So Sri Lalita Sakhi is the foremost servant of Srimati Radharani. Pretty much how Srimati Radharani should accept the service to Krishna is pretty much deciding by the Srimati Lalita Sakhi. So it's quite nice to understand how this principle, this whole process works. So there is the Srimati Radharani is the foremost and primarily serve Krishna. So nobody has that adhikar of to directly serve Krishna. And then everybody else serve Srimati Radharani in the service of Krishna. So there are primarily 8 gopis. It's called Ashtasakhis. Lalita, Vishaka, Chambagalata, Rengadevi, Kundalata, Induleka, Sudevi, and likes that. These are the 8 Ashtasakhis of Srimati Radharani, or the close foremost, the friends of Srimati Radharani. In any service, they are in the inner circle of the service. So then they have various services. As we know that Vrindavan is completely controlled by, who is the controller of Vrindavan? Is it Tulasi Devi or is it Srimati Radharani? Anybody knows who is the controller of Vrindavan?
So what we heard, Prabhuji, is the Radharani, maybe.
Vrindavaneshwari. Vrindavaneshwari, yes. And Tulasi Maharani is setting up everything. And without the Srimati Radharani is the controller or the owner of Vrindavan. Srimati Radharani is the prime minister. Sorry, Tulasi Devi is the prime minister of Vrindavan in that case. That means everything setting up, everything arranged. Without the directions of Tulasi Maharani, nothing happens in the Kunj, in the Vrindavan. So Vrunda Devi or Tulasi Maharani, that's why we all have to take the shelter of Tulasi Maharani in order to attain Krishna or Krishna Prema. Only by the mercy of Tulasi Maharani that we can attain Krishna Prema. And then there are manjaris. We know that there are so many manjaris in the Tulasi. They are all none other than the associates of Tulasi Maharani. What the manjaris does? Manjaris assist Tulasi Maharani and the gopis. There are millions of gopis. is mentioned that there are, even in the rasa dance of 630 million gopis were present. So this is in the spiritual realm, not in the material realm. And then these gopis serves these Ashta gopis, 8 gopis. They serve very closely because of they know the intrinsic desires of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. So they serve accordingly. So out of all, Sri Lalita Sakhi is the foremost, who is very closely connected with the Srimati Radharani in the service of Krishna. And Srimati Radharani is the direct and close foremost of all the service, all the gopis. Srimati Radharani is Krishna. So Manjari, we are known as Rupanugas. Rupanugas means we are the followers of Srimati Srila Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami is none other than the Rupa Manjari. So Rupa Manjari is assisting the gopis and Srimati Radharani. So basically we are all the servants of, or Gaudiya Vaishnavas, are the servants of all these gopis and Srimati Radharani. So that's why we start the holy name with Hare, addressing that internal potency of the Lord. First we approach Srimati Radharani, or the internal potency of the Lord, by putting ourselves, our body, mind and senses, or body, mind and words, at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Hare, that means. And that Hare we are serving, we are praying, we are pleading to Srimati Radharani, please engage in your service. This is the definition Srila Prabhupada gave for the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. O internal potency of the Lord, O Mother, please engage me in your service. This is the meaning, intrinsic meaning of, very confidential meaning of the chanting of the holy name. Srila Prabhupada knew this. Srila Prabhupada revealed that. Srila Prabhupada also have a very prominent position in this devotional realm. In the case of Manjaris, or the potencies or expansions of Manjaris. So who are assisting directly, these Manjaris are very close connection and relationship in the spiritual realm. And those who are assisting Srila Prabhupada and the devotees, they also have a very close relationship and connection. Nothing is ordinary here in this world. Everything is by the mercy of the Lord, and it's all the arrangement of the Lord. So we should always remember this. Krishna consciousness, or one who serves Krishna and Srimati Radharani especially, the position in this world is not ordinary. They are very special souls. They have such a mercy of Srimati Radharani and Krishna and the devotees, then they can come in this position to serve Krishna and Srimati Radharani and the devotees. And out of all this, Krishna says that one who serves my devotees is the foremost, not that one who directly serves me without considering the other devotees. So it's very important. This is a science, this is a spiritual science. So we should always ready to serve devotees in the first instance or first hand. So that's what it is. All this means for Radhashtami or Krishnashtami or Janmashtami or Sashti, and all this, gives us this wonderful learning lessons that what we need to do. We should serve the devotees. Okay. Thank you so much for joining. Anything else? Anybody else would like to add anything? Okay. If nothing else, then let's conclude then. Is that okay? Okay. Thank you, Subal Poji. And thank you so much for joining, and dear devotees. So let's prepare for Radhashtami, we request devotees to come on Saturday morning at the temple so that we can set up everything nicely. And please join. And whoever can, please join, please join. And also evening program starts at 5 p.m. instead of 6. We'll have Braja Bihari Prabhu is coming from Mumbai, Braja Bihari Prabhu. So please join. Also wonderful program, shake in the evening and lotus offering and not so many things like that. Yeah, please join and on Saturday, and also pass this to everybody. And next week is Bhadra Purnima, the appearance day of Srimad Bhagavatam next Saturday as well. So request you all please induce and talk with other devotees, other people to have at least one set of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else would like to add? Thank you, Subal Puji, for a wonderful class. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah. So let's conclude that. Vancha kalpatarupasya Kripa sindhubhyevacha patidanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo. Vaishnavrunda ki jai.
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Jai.
Nilagopad ki jai.
Jai.
Nanda Gaudiya Vaishnavrunda ki jai.
Jai.
Gaura Premanande Hari Hari.
Hari Hari. Thank you, Subala Prabhu.
Thank you, Subal Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, everyone.
Subal
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.